All right. I think, yes, if two or three students can hear me and can see the slide on the screen, I believe everyone else can. If not, then it must be a problem at your end and you can fix it by reconnecting. We'll be starting our today's lecture shortly. Excuse me. All right. We'll start officially now because it's time, and I do not like to keep those waiting who just joined our group on time. If at any time you face any kind of issue that you are not hearing my voice or the screen is not visible, you may open your mic settings and speak up, or you can use the chat option. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Mohammad Rizwan, and I have been in the field of education for the last 22 years. And I've been teaching this subject for over a decade now. And before that, when it was the AFT was considered as a CAT level, that is Certified Accounting Technician, the subject at that time was Managing People and Business, T5. So if you have any elder siblings or any relatives who have done ACC in those times, they would be able to tell you about that. Later on, this subject was transitioned into F1 and then Accountant and Business, and now it is known as Business and Technology. The Before actually going into the subject, I would like to hear a little bit from you. If you would like to introduce yourself, anyone, it is totally voluntary. You can open your mic and tell me a little about yourself because this is your start of the journey of ACCA. What are your ambitions? Why did you choose this profession? You see, there can be many reasons. For some, it will be money. For some, it will be an excellent career path. For some students will be inspired by somebody in the family. So I would like to know you a little bit better. Anyone, the floor is open. You can open your mic and speak up. Anyone, please. You're all going to be future chartered accountants. So it is very important that you feel confident and speak your mind. There must be a reason you joined this profession. So it's okay. You can open up. Just tell me your name, where you're from, and what is your ambition. Why did you choose this profession? Anyone. You can also use the chat option as a secondary option. If you don't want to use your mic, you can use the chat option. Okay. Zahira from Mauritius. All right. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correct. Okay, that's nice. You're already in the field. That's good to know. It will definitely help in your career. Okay, anyone else? You may use the chat option, please. right. Farhan from Mauritius. All right. Okay. All right. There's a direct message as well, so I'll not take the name. Okay. It's always good to for the teacher to hear from his students. You see, it makes the class lively. There are certain restrictions in the online classes as compared to the physical classes. In the physical class, the teacher is directly interacting with the student in a confined environment, and it is we are able to see the students' faces and understand, and we get it from their face expressions that whether they are getting the point or not. But in the online environment, it is very important that you participate actively so that I am able to know as a teacher whether you're getting the point what I'm trying to make or not. The I'm here to help you guide to through and may and succeed in this subject. But I will need your help in doing that. Help me help you. If you are actually participating in the discussion time and again, opening your mic, saying something yes or no, or writing in the chat, or importantly, when I deliver the lecture, it is very good that if you uh, restate the point that you I'm trying to make. For example, if I define something, you get an idea, you can write it down that teacher, I also, whatever is in your culture, you can say, or you can take my name as well, that this is what I understood from what you are saying. So I, as a teacher, will be able to know that, yes, my students are getting the point that I'm trying to make. Okay. Okay. It's good to hear some students are inspired by their family members, and inspiration is good, but remember, they are there to help you as well. You got inspired from them. If they are already a ACC or somebody in the accounting field, you can take help from them as well in your studies. And you'll see that most of the time they will guide you on the same lines for how to prepare for your career. You see, my methodology in this regard, like many other teachers, is that I'm not here just only to guide you in the paper. Be giving throughout the our course. I'll be giving you tips how to excel in your career, how to be a better professional. It's not just about gaining the knowledge of this subject. It's about a holistic approach that you should be able to uh, get prepared for the professional life that is coming after ACCA. You would have noticed, and that in the beginning, if somebody joined later on, they can check the recordings later. In the beginning, when I started off early, 10 minutes earlier, I launched a video which was about mastering your day. It's a soft skill. It's a skill that you need to do. You should be able to discipline yourself. You should be able to make a proper timetable for your daily routine, and that will help you a lot, not only as a student but also as a professional in your career. Okay, now that we know a little bit about each other, I'll introduce the subject to you. And remember, during the topic, whenever you have a question, you may open your mic or you come to chat option. I'll read the chat and I'll answer the questions accordingly. All right, as I told you, that the subject is known as business and technology, and I gave you a little bit about its history as well. So let's get on with the requirement of the syllabus. What is the syllabus is about? What is about? Uh, why do we study it in ACCA as a foundation level subject? And how does it help? How will it help you later on in your further education? So business and technology, it introduces the business world to the students, practically, particularly if they have got no accounting or finance background. This is very important that you see many of the students, they come from a background which was not actually finance related. For example, up until 10th grade, many students take their science subjects, or they have some humanities based subjects, for example. some studies. There are different subjects here altogether. There are civics as a subject, all the English as a second language, or whatever the subject may be. But they do not have an actual background of accounting or finance. So you see, if there are any students who are actually in the practical field of accounting, or those who have already studied accounting in their earlier educational studies, they will have to bear with us, because though there will be some areas that will be repeating from their point of view. For example, what is an organization? How does it run? So these are very basic things, but this is the subject requirement, and it is meant for those students as well who do not have any finance background. So it looks at a business as an entity made up of people. That is very important. It is a social arrangement and system. There are systems involved. Remember, whenever we use the word system, it means that it is a collection of different elements which are brought together to perform a certain task. In very simple words, for example, if you look at your own self, your own body, we have a system of breathing. It involves our nose, it involves the internal organs such as lungs and other organs. The These are totally different. Lungs is totally different from nose, but collectively they perform one specific function. That is, uh, it makes us able to breathe. Same as our circulatory system or our nervous system or our digestive system. All these systems have components, elements which are actually different from each other, but when they interact with each other, they perform one specific function collectively. So an organization is also about like that, about that. A business is similar structure, that it has many different elements, many different areas in which people are performing different functions, but collectively they perform one function as an organization or as a business. So the subject aims at teaching students what are those functions, what are the different roles of people in those functions, and how do they interact with each other, and also their environment. What is the environment that the business is operating in? How does it affect the business? How does the business affect the environment? All of this will be discussed in this subject. Okay. We have the business and technology and overview of the whole syllabus. There are different areas that we need to understand. It is a gateway paper, obviously a foundation level paper which covers many topics, but on a relatively shallow level. This is very important. You see, uh, when we start at a foundation level, we have to touch upon many different areas in which the business operates. But we are not going into much detail of every little subject, every little area. For example, we'll be touching upon uh, what are the different options to raise finance, funds, money to run a business. It will be different overview. For example, I'll be telling you about the banks, about the companies, what is a company structure, and how does it perform, how does it get money. You must have heard about shares or stocks that the company uses to fund itself, or that is a form of a money. So, but the in-depth mechanics of how it is dealt, it is not the scope of this subject. For that, it will be there in ACCA, but for that you will be studying many other subjects. For example, financial analyses, and later on when you go up to the F level, and after F 5, F 6, F 7, F 8, like those subjects, those will be in detail. But this subject, if you have a command over this subject, this will form the basis, the foundation for other subjects. Remember that this will be the basis for other higher level subjects. Okay. So the purpose, this is the whole of the structure of the business and technology. The purpose and type of business organization, that will be our start. Today we'll be starting off with that. What do we do in this? What is a business organization? Who are the stakeholders? What is this terminology? And how does it affect our business? How does business interact with its external environment? Obviously, When there is an entity, for example, we as a human being, one is our internal environment, for example, our internal body temperature, and then there is an external environment, external temperature. For example, these are winters, so it must be cold. And you must tell me in the chat how's the weather in your area. For me, I live in an area which is very, very cold these days. The temperature falls even up to 2 or 3 degrees centigrade. Okay, so we will understand in this subject how is this organization interacting within itself and with the external environment as well. Then we must understand the business organization structure, how it is formed, what are the functions and the roles, what is corporate governance. These are general terms which I am touching upon just to give you just an idea of, and we will be dealing it with these in detail. Then recognize the functions of accounting. What is the purpose of accounting? Obviously, you will be studying other like financial accounting and management accounting as a starting subject, and these accounts will be dealt in there in those subjects in very much detail. But in here, in business and technology, we will be touching upon on the basics of these and understand what is compliance and controls and security. This is very important area, and we'll touch upon it from the very start. Then understand the personal effectiveness and communicate within the teams and across the organization. Now, this portion you need to mark as very, very important. Why is this important? Because this is the area, for example, personal effectiveness. This is the area that will help you not only qualifying this paper, but it will help in your professional career as well. This actually teaches about time management, how to groom yourself, how to be a better professional. So this is important in that respect. Then, what are the expected values and professional ethics? This is a very hot topic nowadays. And remember that later on in ACCA, you will be going through ethics module. There is another module which is important, ethics module. And this area of business and technology will form the basis for that ethics module. And the last one, leading and managing individuals and teams. This will be very important when you study the P-level paper, SBL, Strategic Business Leader. When you study that, this will help you a lot. There are a lot of things that you will be studying in this area which are linked to the level of SBL. So you see that there are different areas, as I told you, as here it was mentioned, shallow level. This means this is the foundation level, and this is going to prepare you for the subjects that will be coming high up on the scale. For example, um, audit paper and financial analyses, performance management, and SPL, of course. So this was the background. Let me move a little bit further. Okay. So this is very important now. What are the steps now that we are able to understand that what are the areas that we are going to touch upon in this syllabus? How to prepare for the final examination? There are two things. First is the steps, and second is the format of the paper. I'll touch upon both. Now, this is very important. You have to study the whole of syllabus. There are certain students who try to spot the answers. It's called answer spotting, which means guessing. For example, you will find resources all over the internet. You just type, which I actually do not recommend, that you go on the internet and try to download the MCQs from whatever source. You see, the source is very important. Um, if you go on the internet and if there is MCQ set of for your practice, you will be going there with a good intention, but you do not know what was the mindset of the person making that paper. For example, uh, if you right now go on the internet and type what is an organization, you will get a number of definitions. There will be loads and loads of definition because it's a very general topic from the business point of view. There are many different professional fields, many different fields which are related to finance, which are related to business, MBAs, and other stuff. So they all deal with this concept. What is an organization? But they do not know what is the requirement of your syllabus. So if you study from them online on in a way that you just open up to the in the ocean of internet, you will be getting so much loaded information, so much of information that you will just get lost in all of that information. So this is my job as a teacher to guide you in this syllabus. So the first thing is that never spot the answer. Never try to guess the answer. You study the whole syllabus, and it is also very important, not just because of the paper point of view, again, for your professional career as well. This is important for the professional career as well, because time and again we'll be studying different. I'll be sharing with you my experiences as a professional, and you will be able to link up those experiences when you, in your practical life, your professional career, face those areas. So remember that it is better to learn the whole syllabus. Even if you think that you can pass the paper by studying 80% of the syllabus, it is never ever recommended. Bear the bear the burden now, do the hard work, complete the whole syllabus, and that will definitely pay off in the paper as well as in your future career as well. Then practice exam question from time to time. That is my job. My job. With the passage of time, when you go through all the chapters, I will be guiding you. It is my job to give you different questions, and you will practice those questions. And you may be able to ask if you are not able to understand a specific question or answer. It is my job to guide you through that. I will be giving you chapter-wise questions as well. I will be giving you practice tests as well, and we will be giving you end of the course mocks as well, so that you can prepare well for your examination. Then ensure that competent working in computer-based examination. From your point of view, it is important in a sense that you should be able to know how to operate a computer system. Now that you're on an online course, it is implied, it is obvious that you know how to deal with that. But your questions will be multiple choice based majority, or sometimes known as objective type. Means you do not have to write in detail. You have to just click on the correct option. So it will not be much of a deal. And I'll be giving you the MCQs in both formats, in PDF as well as later on in the course. When you progress a little, I'll be giving you online links as well to my the MCQs that I have prepared for your practice, and you will be able to do perform that on your mobile or on your laptop as well. Okay, attempt at least two full under examination conditions. That will be our job and your job as well. We'll be providing you with the mocks, and it is your job to visualize that you are sitting in a mock examination. You have 2 hours, and you have to attempt all that paper within that 2 hours. Okay, ji. So that was about it. All right, moving on. Remember, if you have any query, you can just pop a message in the chat. Okay. I'll discuss a little bit about the examination. How does it function? In total, obviously, there are 100 marks and 50% marks are required to pass the paper. And section A, it is about 76 marks, 46 objective test questions worth 1 or 2 marks. I'll be touching upon that later. And there will be 16 1 mark and 32 mark questions. Okay, this is the breakup of the whole paper. It won't matter to you much if you are prepared well, but it is better to remember this so that you can have at least a frame of reference. Okay. These are the tips for answering the questions. Read the questions carefully. It's very important. And your practice will start right from the starting MCQs, which I'll be uploading for you. And you should start reading the question very carefully. Now, why is it said so? Because in the beginning, when you start the practice, these questions will be very easy. So it is usually what happens that students tend to form an answer in their mind by reading first half of the question or first few lines of the question or even the first sentence of the question. But that question is only able you'll only be able to understand that question when you once you read it completely. If you formulate an answer by reading the first sentence and jump on the answer, click it, it may be a wrong answer. A very important, why do students do that? Because they are in a hurry. They feel that 2 hours is not enough time. Let me tell you right now, in my career there has not been a single student who came out of the examination center who went there prepared, that is the prerequisite, who practiced all the questions that I gave and who practiced all the mock examination that I gave, and then he came out of the examination hall and said that, oh, I was not able to attempt some of the questions because I did not have enough time. That has never happened. So 2 hours is more than enough time for you to attempt the business and technology paper. So do not rush. Read all the questions thoroughly and completely before formulating the answer. So, before you're answering, do not rush. See, it is very important that you do not rush at all. If you're not sure, eliminate other answers. This is the technique elimination that I'll be teaching you throughout the methodology. That how to eliminate. For example, if you have four options and you are not sure about which one is the absolute correct option out of the given, but you are sure because you have studied the syllabus, you are sure that on three of them that these cannot be the answers. Obviously, on the fourth one, even if you are not sure, that is your correct answer. This is called elimination technique. This is used when you are not very clear about which answer you should choose. Another important tip is that sometimes the question is formulated in a way that there is no 100% correct answer, but there is most appropriate answer available in that particular situation. So we'll be practicing that as well. Okay. So, and because there is no negative marking, I'm sure you understand what is negative marking because it is available in many different international tests as well. Negative marking is that if you attempt the answer correctly, you get a mark, and if you attempt an answer wrong, you'll some marks will be deducted. For example, if you write the correct answer, you get 4 marks, and if you write the wrong answer, you get a -1 mark. So this is not the case in BT. No negative marks. So if you are unsure, still attempt the question to the fullest of your capability. Let me give you a tip right now. This is how human brain works, human mind works. Let me give you an idea. You see, first of all, you need to understand in the exam environment, you have an option to flag a question. Flagging means that you're unsure of the answer and you want to come to that question later on. Because in the exam environment, there will be only one question in front of you, and you will read the question, read the options, answer it, and then move to the next question. So obviously, when you are done with all the questions, for example, 46 to so many questions are there, you will not be able to remember which question you had left unattended, unanswered. So there is a flagging option, you check on it, and then you leave the question unattended, unanswered, and then you move forward. But the tip is that, for example, you start reading the question and quickly you realize that this question is from a subject area that you were weak in, you did not prepare thoroughly. First of all, it shouldn't be so. But even if it is like that, you think that you were not able to read or exercise that area completely. What you should do is read the whole of the question anyway. Read it completely. Then read all the options, available answers completely. Do not leave it out. And even if after that you are not able to answer it, you are not sure, flag it and move forward. Do not do like this that you read the first sentence. Oh, this is from, for example, this is from the area of leading and managing individuals. Oh, I did not read those theories. I'm not sure about that. I'll come to it later on. I'll read it later on. Don't do that. Read the question, read the options, then move on. And then when you're done with your paper, come to that flagged question later on and remember, you will see marked difference. This time, the second time, you will be able to attempt the question relatively easily. Most of the times, if the student has revised at least whole of the syllabus or attended all the lectures, the answer actually jumps into their mind. The reason is that the functionality of our mind. You see, our mind has different sections. Uh, in simple words, I would say you have conscious mind, unconscious mind, and subconscious mind. So, without going into the psychological details of that, when you are reading the question, it is your conscious mind working on that. But when you leave the question, the curious subconscious, it is there and it is trying to dig out. It is stuck over there. You don't realize it, but the back of the mind, you can say, is still working to dig out the answer from the memory. And when you come to it later on, it is highly likely that it will present you with the answers. You feel, or most of us feel the same thing most of the time, very much a lot in our real lives as well. For example, you're there and you look at somebody and you are not able to remember his name, or you look at something, or you're trying to remember something, but you feel that the name, the word is just right there, but you cannot grasp it. The more you focus, the more you see that you're not able to getting it back into your memory. So you leave it. What you do, leave it. And after a while, it'll just come to you. So this is the same thing that happens now. I'm still waiting on the answers from you on the weather report from your area. I have not gotten that. What is the temperature in your area? And now this as well. Share with me if any one of you has had such a feeling about remembering something, not getting it at that time, and later on it came to you. I would like to hear comments on that. Okay. And the next portion will be the section B, in which we have MTQs. MTQs is multitask questions. This is the multitask questions, in which there is a scenario given, a case study is given, and then there are usually two and sometimes three parts given, which will be actually in the form of some kind of MCQ. Sometimes there will be a drop down list on which you click and there are options available. Sometimes there will be the radio buttons. I'll be explaining that gradually. So it is, you can say that multitask question is a bigger form of an MCQ. So there is nothing new to it. It's just a scenario. You will have to read a lot of it. It's like a small case study, a whole scenario from any section of the syllabus, and the questions will be based on that area. So this will be a higher part. Okay. Uh, Okay. For the multitask question, read and ensure you understand the scenario correctly. With the passage of time, when I give you practice questions, there will be different scenarios. And remember, because this is a theory paper, you should develop your reading skills as well. Let me give you a tip to enhance your reading skills. I understand that this younger generation throughout the world, they're not very familiarized with reading the book. But whatever the situation may be, if you can get hold of a newspaper, whether that be a printed form, whether that be online, read one article from any business news which is in English and try to learn two new words daily. That's it. Let me write it for you. An article from a newspaper, any article, a small article, 100 words maybe, not more than that. And your objective, your target should be to learn two new words, but daily. No holidays in that. Now realize that during the time you are completing, and this is not only for this subject, mind you, This is for whole of ACCA. Develop your vocabulary. This is how you do it. So when you are developing your vocabulary, reading, identifying two new words, and look up their meaning in the dictionary, and then get back and read the article again and try to understand what the word meant. Now, with the help of that tip, you will be able to learn new words and put them in certain context. And when this will also develop your skill of understanding new words from out of the context. Because you see, if English is not our native language, but the paper is in English, this is how we can develop our vocabulary. Okay. This is again the exam format. This is, I have briefed it out for you. So computer-based examination, it will be in environment and all the questions will be objective type. You do not have to write. Remember that after F4 law paper, by the way, which I also teach, after that paper, the examination, the papers will again be computer based, but those will be subjective. You will have to write in those. Okay, ji. 30 MCQs will be of 2 marks, so that is total 60 marks. 16 MCQs will be of a simpler nature and will carry 1 mark each, that is 16 marks. And 6 MTQs, which I told you will be scenario based, will carry 4 marks each, and that carries 100 marks, and 50% is the passing requirement. This is an example, an idea. Obviously, you have not been through the course, but this will give you an example of how a 2 marks question can be. One idea is that it will be multiple choice questions. 4 options will be given: A, B, C, and D. You will be asked to select 2 correct answers, or there will be 1 correct answer if it is a statement, or there can be a combination of answers. For example, this is a question. Obviously, I'm not going into the detail because you haven't studied the subject as well. This is just an idea. Which for the following is not a key feature? So you have to check on either one of these. That will be the correct answer. Another format in which this question can present itself is like this. These are ideas given. For example, this is the question, and the answer is actually a combination. It can be 1 and 3 only. It can be 3 only. It can be 1 only. And so you will have to choose out of these given options. Similarly, 1 mark questions are usually simple in nature. There may be true or false questions. For example, a statement is given, you have to identify whether that is true or false. And for 4 marks or multitask questions, you will have a scenario first and then a detail. For example, this is the situation. This is now, you see, you have to uh, tick or check or whatever the option is there available in the paper that you will do. For example, this you have to check. So this is just an example. So to reiterate, again, to summarize, do not skip any of the material. No, you have to completely study the whole of the syllabus. During study and exam, read each question very carefully, whether that be during the study and practice that we are performing in the class or that is during examination. Obviously, when you study, it is for the examination. No negative marking, so answer all the questions. This is very, very, very important that from the start, make it a habit not to leave a question at all. All right. So we'll take a very brief break of about 5 minutes. And in the meanwhile, if you have any kind of questions, you may ask in the chat section and I'll be happy to answer. After the break, we'll be starting with our first chapter, business organization. Okay, everyone, we'll be starting our first chapter now, which is entitled The Business Organization. The purpose of this chapter is to introduce you to the business environment, and before that, what are the dynamics of an organization. We'll start off with the definition because it is a formal way to get to know about a certain concept. So, in this definition, we will be focusing on four major areas for the definition of an organization. Remember, at the moment, we are not discussing about a business organization. There are several types of organizations which we'll be touching upon. And then we'll take on business organization and study that in detail because that is the uh, basic requirement of our syllabus. So an organization is a social arrangement which pursues collective goals, which controls its own performance, and which has a boundary separating it from its environment. So there are these four areas that we need to discuss. All right. First of all, the word social arrangement. Remember, when the word social comes in, it means that it is a collection of human beings. So, for example, if you are discussing an arrangement where you have robots working, it will not be considered as an organization according to this definition. So, it is a social arrangement, and the social arrangement means it is a collection of human beings which pursues collective goals. Now, because these human beings are there, they will have certain goals, certain needs, certain wants, needs and wants. Now, what does this mean? Collective goals. For example, in an organization, we say there are human beings. For example, there are three human beings there. Everyone is there for a certain need to achieve a certain need. For example, somebody is there for money, somebody is there for the other one is there for fame, another one is there to make his family proud. It is their individual goals. But in order to for an organization to work perfectly, work in a better way, their goals should be aligned. The individual goals must be aligned. They should match each other. If everyone is working in his own capacity and towards his own goal, they will not be able to achieve the targets that that organization is setting. For example, we are gathered here. Let me give you an example of this our class. First of all, is this a social arrangement? Think about it. Well, I am a human, so and I'm sure all of you are as well. No alien in this class, right? So this is a collection of human beings. So this is a social arrangement, even if it is across borders, if it is online. But you see now about our goals. For me, there are certain goals which are for myself only. There are certain goals which are for you only. For example, uh, I am a teacher. I am providing my services in return for different things, which could be to generate finance for myself. It could be because I love teaching and I want to inspire the students, but that is for me only. As for you, why are you in this organization? You want to, like you said, you want to excel in a career. You are already working in an environment and you want to become better by completing the ACCA, for which the business and technology is a requirement. That is goal. That goal is for you, not for me. Then how come this is an organization? Because you and I, we have a collective goal as well. That is to get you to pass the business technology paper. This is our collective goal. I want this and you want this as well. So our individual goals can be different. These can be different. But out of those goals, we have aligned our collective goal. So if for this class, I'm only trying to make money and I'm not focused on how you can be a better professional or you can be a better, you can get the highest possible marks, it will not function properly. So it is very, very important that all the people that are working in that organization, their goals must be aligned. So this is for the collective goals. So in an organization, the people who are working there, they have similar goals. They can have their individual goals. There's nothing wrong about it, but the collective goals must have priority. Must have priority. These will be first priority and the individual goals can have second priority. The people in the organization must understand that if the organizational goals are achieved, then their individual goals will also be achieved. This is very important. Next is it is this collection of people controls its own performance. What is performance? The steps you take to achieve those goals. Whatever you are doing to achieve those goals, your performance. For example, our goal is to make you pass business and technology paper. What are the steps we are taking? We are conducting different classes. We are getting the ideas on the subject matter. We'll be practicing the different kinds of tests to enhance our paper attempting skill. So these are steps that we are taking. This will be our performance. But what does control mean? For now, uh, this word control will be, I would say, a bread and butter for you. But for now, you can say that control can be termed as check and balance. An activity which is performed to check your performance and help you rectify the performance it is if it is not going up to the required mark. A very simple example of a control is the steering wheel of a car. What does it do? What is it there for? We have a target set that we want to drive to that particular location. And the performance is that we start our car and get it moving on the road. The control, the steering wheel is a control that if the road is turning, this means our performance needs to be shifted. And what do? We turn the steering around and our performance moves along with the road. Similar thing happens in the organization as well. Let me give you another example. First of all, we set a target for ourselves. For example, there is a sale target, and that is suppose 12 million. Our company has set a target for sales of 12 million for the year. For example, the year starts in January and ends in, I'm taking the calendar year. You can take the fiscal year from July to June, does not matter for our example. Now, first of all, tell me that we will start our collective efforts. We'll start to perform our goals. I'm giving you two scenarios. You let me know which one is better, and please do answer in the chat option. It is an interactive class. I'll be very happy, and it will be a much more beneficial class if you respond. Because when you do not respond, I'm not sure, I'm blank whether you are getting the point I'm trying to make or not. Okay. So from January to December, the first scenario is that I start working, I work throughout the year, and in December, I check my performance. How check my performance means how much out of 12 million sales I have achieved. This is the scenario one. The second scenario is that I break the whole year into quarters, suppose 3 quarters. And for each quarter, I break down this 12 million target into, say, uh, equally. It can be equal. It does not necessarily we have to equal. For example, 3 million and then 6 million and then 9 million. And at the year end, I'll achieve 12 million. By the time I reach the first level, I check how much of the 3 millions I have achieved, and then I move on. Now, would anyone like to explain which scenario, which methodology is better and why? Should I start working and just do my best and check my performance in the year end, or is it better to check my performance after every quarter and then move forward? Please use the chat option or you may use the mic option. Okay, nice. We have an answer. Good. Would anyone like to explain why do you think that the second option is correct? Most of the time students do understand why is it better, but they are not able to put it in words. So, and if you're typing, it may take a little bit of time. But all right, you get the idea right. This is better. Why? Because you see, uh, at the end of first quarter, there are right track. We can change plan. Excellent. Very good. Yes, that is correct. Now, that is what I'm trying to explain now. When you reach the first quarter and you have to see if you have reached the 3 million mark or not. So there are three options. When you check your actual results, actual sales, there are three options available. First is that you have reached exactly the same target. Excellent, fine. You set the target and you achieved it. You can move on to the next quarter. The second is that you receive less than 3 million, for example, 2.8 million. Now, you check your performance and there is a problem, so you balance it. How do you balance it? That the deficit of the zero point 0.2 million you have to cover in this quarter along with the 3 million of this quarter as well. So this is an alarming situation if you are falling behind the target. Now, let me give you another interesting idea. The third option is that you have achieved greater than that. For example, you have achieved 3.2 million. And from your perspective, it is a good thing that you had a target of 3 million, but you have received 3.2 million. But I say this also needs to be checked. This also is in one way alarming situation. Why would that be? You see, achieving the target less than the target is an alarming situation. You did not achieve. You had a target of 3 million, but it is alarming that you got 2.8 million. So you have to uh, achieve that difference of zero point 0.2 million in the next quarter. But I'm saying that even if you reach the target higher, for example, you had 3 million and you reached 3.2 million, even this is alarming. Why would that be? What could be the possible reason for this? Can you think of any reason? Okay, it's okay. It's the start, and this will actually broaden your perspective of the practical business environment. You see, you had a target of 3 million. Why did you set this? Because you had studied all the scenarios in the environment. What is your possible sales and what is the target, what is the clients or the customers saying, how much is our product in demand? That is why you set the target of 3 million. What is your workforce? How much effort they can put in? You have set this target after considering all this. So obviously, you would have set a high target for yourself. Nobody sets a lower target. You set a higher target for yourself. But setting a higher target, you even achieved more than this. This means you had more potential. You had more possibilities. You can have better profits, better revenues. Why to settle for the lesser amount? So this is one way to look at it. See, you had a target of 3 million and you achieved 3.2 million with the effort of 3 million. Why not to for the next term set a target higher? Set a target of 3.5 million, because you see you can achieve it. In that way, you can also correct for the next, and as a whole, you can maybe able to achieve 15 million. Why should I settle for 12 million when I have the capability of getting to 15 million? It's simple. So after you are checking your performance on a regular basis, you are able to rectify it. You are able to set it to the right path. So when we say that control its own performance, it means when it sets the target, it is able to check it time and again, and it is able to maneuver, it is able to set the course right. And these controls we will be discussing in much detail throughout the course. For example, I'll just give you an example. You are in an organization and there is a finance department. Suppose there is a cash dealing. There's a dealing of cash, or let's consider a supermarket where you go, you purchase things, and the cashier, there is a till, and the cashier checks out your objects, and he gives you a bill, and you make the payment to him. How do you ensure that that cashier is not stealing the money? How do you ensure that the money that is there is safe and it will be collected at day end? The activities that you design for this are also known as controls. For example, there will be an inbuilt system in that computer which will show the day starting cash with that cashier, and the day end cash required with that cashier. And when you at the end of the day you collect all the cash, you tally it up with the entries in the made in the computer. So that is also that activity is also known as a control, and that will be something we'll be discussing quite much in detail. So the last requirement is the boundary. The boundary. Boundary, you can say, can be a physical boundary or a logical boundary. For example, the office which you are working in is a physical boundary. The four walls, the office, the building, it is the physical boundary that separates it from the organization from the external environment. For example, if I'm teaching in a school, the physical environment, that four walls in which the school is located, it is separating the school from the rest of the world. So this is the physical boundary. The logical boundary is the identity. Obviously, you will not be within the organization 24/7 all the time. You will be coming home as well. But does this mean that you're not the employee of that organization? You're still the employee of the organization. So what is it that you're is differentiating you from the rest of the world at that time when you're home? For example, if I'm working in at Amazon, when I'm home, I'm still the worker of Amazon or not. Though I'm not performing my job, but still I'm the employee of Amazon. So the word Amazon, this identity is separating me from the rest of the world. So this is my logical or virtual boundary as well. Now, for example, for this class, as we said, this is an organization. We do not have a physical boundary because we are not sitting in the same place. But this classroom is our virtual identity. This is our virtual boundary. So these are the four elements that we study when we say that a collection of people is an organization or not. So these four elements must be there. All right. Now we move on from the simple organization to, just give me a minute, please. All right. From moving from the word organization, now we are trying to understand what is a business organization. In simplest word, the any activity of buying and selling. It is also known as exchange. And if it is to with an intention to make profit, it will become a business organization. An organization or an economic system, you can term right for now, an is the economic system is where the buying and selling is happening, where the goods and services are exchanged for one another or for money. Now, let me briefly explain these two. For one another. In olden days, the goods or services were exchanged for each other, goods for goods or goods for services or services for services. It was known as the barter system. And then money came in because there was certain problem with the barter system. Obviously, that is not in our course requirement. So I'll not touch upon that. But money, it has become a medium of exchange. That is, if you want to buy something, you must have some money which you have earned by providing some services. So, for example, a barber who provides services, he gets money, and then he has to get some grocery, for example, for his home. Then he goes to the supermarket and buys money from that, buys the grocery from that with that money. Okay. A business organization is an organization, or a business is an organization or enterprising entity engaging in commercial, industrial, or professional activities. Commercial means trading, which means buying and selling. You see, there could be different businesses who do not manufacture anything, who do not produce anything, they just buy something from someone and sell it somewhere else and make some profit out of it. For example, the retail shop that you have nearby, they have whatever the goods that they have, for example, the grocery item, the detergent or soap or shampoo or whatever it is that is required for daily use. They have not made it. They have purchased it from a main company or a supplier, and they keep some profit for themselves and sell it. So those are known as commercial activities. For industrial activities, we have manufacturing, we have construction. For example, manufacturing from raw materials to finished goods. For example, a carpenter, they get timber and they process it through different machineries in their factory, and they produce furniture out of it. So that is manufacturing. In construction, we see roads manufacturing, dams, bridges, things like that. These are industrial activities. And the professional activities are others such as advertising, sorry, for example, advertising, uh, communication networks, and insurance, warehousing, where goods are stored. Uh, in addition to that, there are other professional activities such as all the professions, obviously, the chartered accountancy, chartered accountants, doctors, engineers, lawyers, all of these are included in professional activities. So the main thing that you can understand from this particular portion in which we are going to we have described a business organization, the main thing you would see is to make profit. So in essence, for an organization, profit is not a requirement. For a business, it is a requirement. This means that there can be other type of organization which are not seeking profit. We will discuss about those as well. But before that, what is the need for an organization? A simple touch up that why is it important to have an organization? What is the need? There are different areas. For example, people come together to share their skills and knowledge. They pool their resources. What are the resources? Resource is means means to achieve ends. Resources can be people, it can be money, it can be machines, anything that you need to achieve ends. Ends means goals or targets. Whatever your target is. For example, what is the target of our today's class? To understand the concept of organization. What are the means we are using? I am using a laptop. You may be using your mobile or a laptop. I'm using these slides. I'm using my time as well. By the way, we also must consider time as a resource because we usually do not put a value of money on time. That is usually not discussed in business, but still it is there. So, whatever you require to complete the task, that is known as a resource. Now, for example, I have to my need is to provide shelter for myself and for my family. For that, I need a house. Is it possible that I make the house all by myself? Maybe, maybe. If it is a simple house, I'm living in a jungle, I just need a few logs and that, okay, fine, I may be able to do that. But what about the food? I need to grow crops as well. Then what about the clothes? What about now? You see, with the passage of in early ages, when the needs of people were simpler, they were able to achieve most of the things by themselves. For example, must have heard the term of hunter-gatherers. In early ages, it is stated that human beings they had very simple needs. They were either hunters or gatherers, and they lived together, and the needs were very simple. Whatever they required at that time, they could produce on their own. They did not necessarily need an organization or combination. But later on, when the needs started to develop, I came to realize that yes, I need proper clothes, not just killing an animal and taking off its skin and using it to cover myself. I need proper clothes, but I do not have that skill. But I knew how to teach. So in an organization, people come together. Everyone has his own resources and everyone has his own skills and knowledge. They pull it together and then they achieve the collective goal. During that, they achieve specialization. What is specialization? Rather than performing all the tasks by myself, I choose one area of the task, of the bigger task, and I do it again and again and again and again until I become specialist in it. And this means that with specialization, I'll be able to achieve the target, achieve the task with less time, I'll be making fewer mistakes. And in simple words, this is known as efficiency. Achieving more with less. More target with less time. More target with less resources. More target with less spending of money. You see, for example, I am teaching this subject for a very long time. So I have become specialized in this. I know that what is the area which needs more of focus, what is the area which would require less of the focus, and student will be able to easily understand that. What are the exam practice techniques that will ensure success for the students in lesser amount of time? And because I have done that thing again and again, maybe in the beginning I made some mistakes, but I learned from them. I removed those mistakes. So specialization calls for efficiency, better use of resources, using less time, less resources, and achieving more and more. So this is why we need to have an organization. Another important element is that of synergy. Synergy means the effect of combined efforts Now, why combined efforts? Because many people are coming together. The effect of combined efforts where the total result is greater than the sum of individuals. In simple words, 1 plus 1 is not 2, it is greater than 2. What does that mean? For example, you have three carpenters in your factory and A, B, and C. You give them totally separate targets. For example, you tell them to make chairs. You give them the target and they are making chairs. A is better at making the whole chair. He will be able to suppose produce 5 chairs in a day. B is a little bit slower. He produces 3 chairs. And this one is a new one. He is not very skilled, so he can only make 2 chairs. All right. What is the sum here? 5, 3 plus 2, 10. But now let us do further specialization. How do I do this specialization? See, this is the whole work of making the chair. For example, here we have timber from the store. We cut it into a frame of the chair. Then we polish the chair. Then we put on some foam or some seating arrangement. And then we pack the chair and make it ready to go out to the store or to the customer. This is the whole process. A was performing the whole process, B was performing the whole process, and C was performing the whole process. And this is the result that we got. Now let's move on to specialization. For example, this making of frame, I assign this to A. That you get the timber, only make the frame and move it along, move it forward. Then I tell B, it will be your job to polish the frame that you have received from A. And C's job will be to put on the foam and pack it and make it ready for the final for the customer. Now, what I have done is that I have broken the job into smaller pieces, broken the job into smaller pieces, and assigned each piece of work to one person. Before that, he was making the full chair. Now he's making only a part of it. And he will become more specialized because when he is more focused. So this A will know that while making a frame, this is the mistake I'm doing. If I cut the timber in this fashion, this way, less of the timber will be wasted and I'll be able to make more frames out of it. Similarly, this one who's polishing, he will know that if I'm using a machine or if I'm using a brush to polish the or paint the furniture, this way, if I use this way, I'll be able to use less time and less of the paint will be wasted because he's focused. Similarly, like this. So, what will be the end result? Synergy says that with collective effort, they will be able to produce more than 10 chairs because why? Because they will be more quick at it. They and also these 10 chairs, greater than 10 chairs, these will be of superior quality or better quality than the previously made chairs. So this is how it works. You see it in daily routine life. For example, for your ACCA, one teacher does not teach all the subjects. We are specialized. It does not mean that we do not know the other subjects. We do, but we have chosen a particular field in which we get specialized. For example, my subjects are business and technology, F4 law, and SPL, strategic business leader. I've chosen this strand because you see there's a underlying commonality between these that all of these are theory based subjects. I like theory based subjects. This is my area of expertise. I have time and again taught these subjects and I have become excellent in these. I know much better about these. Now, I could have taught you all the subjects, but it won't be that much efficient. I would take more time. I'll be making more of the mistakes. Now, because I'm focused on these three subjects only, I am more focused. I can understand my mistakes easily and I can cover them. Overall effect will be synergy. That is the effect of combined efforts where the total result is greater than the sum of individual. This was the sum of individual effort, this 10. But when we have combined them and split the jobs between, we have more than 10, maybe 12, maybe 15. That's not what we are discussing, but the end result will be greater. As we discussed previously, that there can be different types of organization. Here we will discuss. One we discussed, there's a business organization, but there are others as well. So we divide organization based on different categories. These are different categories. For example, the first category is a commercial or profit-seeking organization, which we know as a business. You see, for business, the profit is an important requirement. And that is your intention, business seeking. That is the intention. For example, if somebody starts a business, he makes loss, the next year again makes loss, is not making profit, that does not mean that that is not a business. It is still a business because the intention is that of making profit. Even if he is making loss, is not making profit, it is still a business. So intention is what matters. Then there are not-for-profit organizations. You must have heard about charities or NGOs, non-governmental organizations. So these are not-for-profit organizations whose aim is not profit making. Then there is an important distinction. This is the category one. This is the category two. This is an important distinction between public sector and private sector. Here, when the word sector is used, and this is important, the word sector is used, public means run by government. Those organizations which are government departments. For example, railways. Government usually runs the railways. It is the public sector, and the rest of the organization can be private sector. Remember that in private sector we can have then these two. We can have businesses and not-for-profit organization in the private sector. Then the non-governmental organization, this is the third category, a special one. And remember, usually under normal circumstances, government does not aim for profit. Its requirement, the organizations that the government is running is to provide services to its people or public. It is not there to make profit because you see, you pay the taxes, and in return, government has to provide the facilities, health facilities, education facilities, the transportation, and many different things. So it is not aiming for profit. Non-governmental organizations are those which are not run by government, and at the same time they do not aim for profit, which is NGO. No profit and not by government. These are in private sector actually, and their aim is not profit. These are called non-governmental organizations. Another is the cooperatives. Now, we do not usually see these in our usual countries, but in Western countries, this is a very common trend. Cooperatives is a different type of organization whose aims are not defined from the beginning. Like, I cannot say whether a cooperative will be a profit seeking or will not be a profit seeking. It depends on the members, people who are forming the cooperative. In UK, you register as a cooperative. Whatever organization you're trying to make, you have to register it. So the members who are starting the this organization are called members. The distinguishing feature, how do we distinguish cooperatives from the other organizations, is that the members each have one vote to decide whatever the decision they have to make. They have each have one vote to decide, and this is regardless of their investment. It does not matter. One person has invested 1 million and the other has invested only 1,000 pounds or dollars. They will each get one vote. This is how cooperatives work. And this is known as that they are democratically run. They are governed or run or administered democratically, which means each person has one vote regardless of the investment that they have put in. Now, if the members choose by voting that we are going to have profit, they can have profit. If they choose that we are not going to have profit, they may not get profit. I'll just give you an example of a farmers cooperative. Farmer cooperative, for example, in an area, there are different farmers, for example, 20 or 30 farmers who have their pieces of land and they cultivate and they produce crops. They come together, they sit together and they think. Now, here you will also understand another concept of business. When they sit together, they think that whatever we require for our cultivation, for example, we require seeds, for example, we require fertilizers. We take these two, for example. They think that if we go to the market and buy these individually, we each have to pay a certain price. For example, for one sack of fertilizer, say we have to pay 50 pounds, for example. Okay, I'll write it so that you can easily understand it. Why this topic is not actually in great detail in your course, but I have to make an important distinction here, important concept related to this, so you will be able to understand that. All right. So one sack or bag of fertilizer would cost you about, say, 50 pounds when they go individually. Suppose there are 50 farmers in that area. They sit together. They say, why don't we go to a bigger market, not go to the near market, bigger market, a wholesale market where we can buy in bulk. For example, they say that each of us need one bag for now. So in total, how many bags are these? 50 bags. They go to the big market and buy 50 bags. Now, again, think for a minute. If one bag was for 50 pounds, but they are going into a bigger market, they are sending a representative who goes there and deals for 50 bags. Now, will all these bags, obviously, the total amount will be bigger. But do you think each bag will now, when he's getting the 50 bags, each bag will be equal to 50 pounds or lesser? Think about it and let me know. Use the chat section. I'll repeat the question. When they were going individually and getting one bag for themselves, it was for 50 pound per bag. But now they have collected all the money, they have sent one farmer to the main market and he'll get 50 bags together. So now each bag will cost 50 pounds or less than 50 pounds. Anyone? Excellent. Less than 50 pounds. Why is that? You see, you get a certain bargaining power when you buy more of a product. It is very simple. And this is how the business works. When you buy in bulk, in larger quantities, it is possible that he will ask the seller to lower the price a little. And he will be inclined to do that now because you are a priority customer. Other customers are buying one bag from you, and this one comes and says that give me 50 bags. You will be happy that more sales. So for that more sales, if you want to attract more of them, so you will give a little bit of discount. So that discount interprets as the lower cost. The concept here is this concept. When you buy in bulk, buying in bulk reduces per unit cost. Per unit cost means per bag cost is reduced. This concept is called economies of scale. Here, the word economies means benefits and scale means the scale of production of scale of your business. Initially, you were buying one bag. It cost you 50 pounds. But now, for whatever reason, we are not going to, but now you're going to buy 50 bags. So he will pay you maybe for 45 pounds. So this 5 compound difference that you have received is the per unit cost reduction. This is called economies of scale. Financial economies of scale, like because you are getting a financial benefit. There are other kinds of benefits as well, and we'll be discussing that in detail. But this concept is very important for the whole of the business, that when you buy in bulk, you get certain advantages. Your per unit cost gets reduced to a certain extent, obviously. That happens. Okay. Now we are going to jump to the next section. I'll take a brief uh, break here so that you can summarize all of the things that we have discussed so far. If you have formulated any questions, please write in the chat. I'll be able to answer that. After that, we'll be discussing commercial organization. What is their mechanics? How are they formed? And what are the different types? Okay, no questions so far. All right, let's get on with the next section of the chapter, commercial organization. Here we are going to discuss uh, three logical steps of the formation of a bigger organization. The first one is the sole tradership. Second one is the partnership. And the third one is a limited liability company. I'll be starting with the sole tradership with an example and gradually move on to partnership and then limited liability company. In ACCA, usually our aim is about understanding a limited liability company, and you will see that most of the discussion during your course will be about a company. And similarly, when you move forward in your ACCA, it will be about different companies, like audit is of a company and similarly other things. But in order to understand what is company, we need to have a logical stepwise understanding of how the business is, how businesses grow. It is not required to have a limited company that you must first have a partnership and before that you must have a sole proprietorship. It's not a legal requirement. But in order to understand how businesses progress, I'm just giving you an example. First of all, what is a sole tradership? Sole tradership, which is a single person owned business. Ownership is that of a single person. By the way, we are discussing the commercial organization with regard to ownership here, because you see, we have discussed uh, commercial organization in trading as well. We there are other organizations, for example, industrial organizations, that is according to the type of business that they are doing. Here we are discussing commercial organization according to the ownership, who owns or how many people own it. Sole proprietorship is or sole tradership is a business which is owned by one person. It is possible that that person has many employees with him, workers with him who are working and he's paying them salaries or wages on a daily basis, but the owner is a single person. Now, we'll touch upon slightly on advantages and disadvantages of this type of business, because this will be again discussed in the next chapter as well, in which we study the business structures. When we have a single person who's running a business, I'll give you one or two advantages and you think upon one or two disadvantages and share with me in the chat or mic or through mic. When you are the single person who's running the business, you are the boss. What does it mean? You make all the decisions. No answering to anyone about the decisions. For example, it's up to you. When do you open up the business? When do you close the business? On what date do you take a holiday? Whether you take a holiday or not? Whether you invest all of your money yourself or you get a loan from somebody, or which type of business would you want to start? Which type of products would you want to sell? All of these are up to you only if you are the only boss. Another benefit is that uh, you are not directly dependent on anyone else, on anyone else. Okay. So it's up to you. Whatever your decision is, that is applied on the company. And for that decision, you do not need anyone else to tell you how to go about it. But there must be certain disadvantages of this single person ownership. Anyone has any idea what kind of problems you may face if you are running your business alone? Very good. Because here you are the boss, you get all the profits, which is a benefit. But for a disadvantage, you get all the, yours is all the risk or all the loss. If you bear a loss, risk or loss. Okay, there is another point in the in the chat. Lack of decision making. I interpret it as that a single person, because he's only one mind, he may not be able to understand all the possible scenarios. If there are two people discussing a problem, they will have their own experiences and they will come to a better decision. But if you are a single person, you can think only about on your experiences and may not be able to make a better decision. So yes, lack of decision making in that sense, because there is nobody to give you a proper idea, because they do not have any interest in your business. They are not your partners. So because of different now, let me give you an example, which I was trying to start with. That I have certain amount of money, for example, I have some savings, and I have a business idea, and I start a business. For example, I start a small restaurant. I'm my own boss. I'm making decisions. Now, here comes another problem of the single person business, which will make us go towards the partnership. That is limited resources, or you can say less resources. I started a restaurant and it is going very well. Uh, Now I want to expand my business. Like, for example, I want to take the next property, expand the hotel because more and more customers are coming. They want more seats. They have to wait. So I have to expand my business. But now I see problem. I do not have finances. What do I do? If I go to the bank, banks usually do not prefer to give loans or heavy loans to smaller businesses, single person businesses. They give it to bigger companies. Even if they give me a loan, which will not be of that much big amount, it will come with certain restriction. There may be high interest rate, so it is very difficult for me. So what do I do? Loan is not getting an option. I asked my friend that you see my business, it is going very well. Why don't you jump in, bring in some money, become a partner? I've asked three or four friends. Usually, the partnership goes from 2 to 20 partners, and in banking cases, it is from 2 to 10. That is a general idea, not related to our course, but partnership is that now I have more than two owners, not helpers, owners, more than two, sorry, more than one owner. Now I'm not alone. More than one owner. There can be two, there can be three. For example, I've discussed with five of my friends. We have decided, they have decided, yes, we were thinking about that. It's a good business, it's making profit. Let's bring some money of our own. We will be your partners. Now, this is a partnership. Again, with partnership comes different benefits and different disadvantage. The benefit will be that this problem will be resolved. Now I have more financial possibilities, more financial possibilities, which will help me grow the business or expand the business. Now I can grow further. I can grow much bigger. Again, another thing now, because they are my partners, I have somebody to discuss the problems with or distribute the duties. For example, I'll ask one of the friends that it will be your job to, obviously, after discussion, that it will be your job to go to the market and make all the purchases. The other person, I'll ask him to look after all the funds. The other person, I myself take the responsibility of dealing with the customers. Another person who has a skill of using social media, I'll tell him to do the advertising. So we can divide the duties, and it will not be only my burden, they will be helping me out. And that will also add to the growth and expansion of my business. But at the same time, there are certain disadvantages as well of partnership. Now, again, students, anyone? What can be the possible disadvantages of this? Come on, think, think, think. Excellent. Very good. Now the profits have to be shared. You see, you share the losses and then you have to share the profits as well. Now, all the profit is not yours. You have to distribute amongst the partner as well. And excellent. Another point there is well, disagreement between the partners. In previously in the sole tradership, you were all alone. A person does not disagree with himself. But when there are partners, there will be complication, there will be conflicts. Conflict is that means the disagreement between them. For example, what type of new dish should we offer? Two partners say one thing, three partners say one thing, and there may be clash. It can be resolved, but this is a possible problem amongst the partners. All right. We say that the distinction is that the disadvantage is that sharing of profits and then disagreements between the partners, or we can say conflicts. Okay, the business is running very well, and now we want to expand further. You see, businesses have different objectives. One is profit making, which we have discussed. The other is expansion. Yet another is, or expansion, you can say, increase or maximization of owners' wealth. They want to keep it increasing more and more and more. This is how businesses become giants. But again, similarly, as similar to the sole tradership, partnership also has its limitation. You see, you have a 20 partners limit. Like for example, we have 5 partners. We want to expand further. We bring in 2 more partners, 3 more, 5 more, but there is a limit. After that, we cannot go any further. What do I do then? I need to ask for more. I need to get more. And still, as compared to sole tradership, yes, the banks give me more favor because I'm an expanded as compared to sole tradership. But still, businesses will be a bit reluctant to give the loans to the partner. In comparison with sole trader, yes, but not that much. What do I do? Now I want to get registered as a limited liability company. Uh, I understand that most of you will not have any great understanding of how a limited liability company is formed. You see, I have underlined the word limited liability. I'll be discussing that concept as well. And with the passage of time, we keep addressing this issue and this concept. What is a company? But from for the very beginning, I'll give you just a few pointers. You see, sole tradership. I whatever investment I had, I have the business, I'm running it. Partners, there are 2 to 20 partners. We are known as partners. We share the profits and we help each other in the difficult situations. What about company? When you have to register it, first of all, there is a whole process, and you will study it in great detail in F4, or also known as new name is LW law. Uh, Law has a second portion which is about company law, UK company law, and there is a complete law on that which is known as Act, Companies Act 2006. That act in detail tells you about from the formation of the company, how the company is formed in UK, how it will be governed, and in case you have to end the company, what will be the procedure of ending. Now, this will be in great detail in F4, but here we will touch upon different areas as per requirement of business and technology. There is also a partnership law, but it's not in great detail. It is also included in F4. There is no sole tradership law. It's up to you whatever business you are individually are doing because it's your money, whatever you want to do with it. There are laws that like you have to be legal and all that, but not in great detail. For partnership, because now other people are investing with you, their rights have to be secured as well. So there is a partnership law. But in limited company, what you do is ask for people who may or may not be known to you to invest their money. And for investment of their money, in return, you give them shares. Shares means it is the part of the company's ownership, part of business ownership. It is the same which you did in the partnership. It is the same which you did in the partnership, but the difference is that now you are registered differently as a company, and the laws of the company apply to you. So the first thing is that it will have shares. Now remember, every company does not have share, but that is not our scope. There will be areas that maybe if you have a better knowledge or you're working somewhere, you have different knowledge. But remember, I have to teach this course according to the students who have no knowledge previously of the business environment. Okay, so the companies, when I made other partners, I gave them part of the ownership of the business. For example, if I am asking 5 friends to come in, Initially, I was the only owner of the business. Now I'm sharing. Now they are also the owners because they've invested the money. Similarly, when I give out the shares, it is the part of the ownership. Means these share gives them in general give them decision rights, votes. Unlike cooperatives, remember in cooperatives we said every person gets one vote regardless of the investment. This is not the case here. Here the votes are weighted. The more shares you have in a company, the more votes you get in the company, in the decision making of the company. What kind of, like similar, what kind of products do we want to start? What type of, for example, if I want to expand, if I want to start my business in another city, that is the kind of a decision, and many other which will come later on. So in companies we have shares, and it is registered as a company under Companies Act 2006 in the UK. All right. Limited liability, I'm going to explain this in detail now, this concept. First of all, you need to understand that company is different from sole trader and partners and partner and company. These are different in this way that according to UK law, a company has a separate legal entity. Means in the eyes of law, a company is another person, a different person altogether, an artificial person. Obviously, it's not a human being, it's a different person. What does it mean? Now, for a sole trader, for example, I invested some amount and I buy a car. Who does this car belong to? Me or the business? For sole trader, it is the same thing. I and my business are same. This car is mine as well as this car is my business's. Same is the case with the partnership. If partners get combined money and they buy a car, that car is of the partnership as well as individual partners. They are joint owners of that thing. But in a company, this is different. When the company, I have investment into the company as in shares. For example, I bought shares, I invested into the company. Now that amount is that of company. If the company buys a car, it's not my car. I am the shareholder, not the partner now. I'm the shareholder. Everyone who has invested into a company and gets share he is known as the shareholder. Now, in the eyes of law, this car belongs to the company and not the shareholders. This is the primary thing that you need to understand. Similarly, if I take loan from a bank, who is liable to pay that? I or the business? In the eyes of law, same thing. Either me or the business. It's not different for sole trader and partnership. But what about company? If a company takes loan from the bank, it is the company's loan and company is responsible, shareholder is not responsible. Shareholder has invested certain amount, he is responsible for that amount only, and whatever the company is doing, he is not responsible for that. So company is actually run by directors. These directors may be shareholders or may not be shareholders, but company actually is run by the shareholders. For example, think of any big company in the world, for example, Procter and Gamble, or any company in your country, which is trading its shares on the stock exchange. Now, these shares are dealt usually in stock exchange, not for all the companies, but those companies for which the shares are dealt for the general public. You can take your money, there's a complete procedure, and then you can invest and you will get the share, you will become the shareholder. But what if the company defaults? Defaults means a situation where you are no longer able to meet your liabilities, meet your payments. the loans that you have taken from different people, you are not able to repay that. This means you have defaulted. Again, this is a simple term. We'll discuss technical terms later on. Now, what happens if you are a sole proprietor and or a partner, or you are a shareholder? In case a sole trader defaults, because the loan that he took was for him or for the business, that is the same thing. This means that he will sell all the assets of the business, whatever there is in the business. For example, furniture is there, it has computers, or it has some inventory lying down, the material that he used. He will sell all these in auction, usually, collect the amount and give it to the creditors, give it to the people from who he has taken the loan. But what if the amount is not enough? For example, there is an example in the next slide. Just understand the concept right now. What if the amount is not enough from selling the assets of the business? Then he has to bring his personal asset, his own car, which was not used for the business. He may have his own house. He has to sell according to law. He has to sell and give complete amount to the creditors or the people from whom he has taken loan. What about the company? Let me explain it to you with this example. You see, A is a business, either it is a sole proprietor or a partner. They took a loan from bank to buy a car, suppose $100. And remember, this car, who does it belong to? Business or owner? Same thing, no difference. This car is the business's, and similarly, this loan that he took for, is this the owners or the business? In the eyes of law, this is the same. He credit purchases from vendor. Vendor means supplier from who you have bought certain amount. For example, you have bought goods on credit, that you have taken the goods, and later after 20 days or 30 days you will pay the amount. That amounts to $25, and loan from other fund provider is 75. This 200 is the total loan or liability. Liability means something that you have to return to somebody. So, total assets after liquidation. Liquidation means you have sold all the assets, converted them into cash. After selling, you will get cash. This is called liquidation. And you get 150. Now, the total loan was 200 and you only got 150. There is a deficit, difference amount of 50. Where does this difference amount of 50 come from? It will be taken from selling the personal assets of A. His personal assets will come into play, and this means his personal belongings are not secure if you are sole trader or a partner. But let's go into the limited liability. And remember, because limited liability is a separate person, a company is a separate person. Same values I have put for comparison. They got a car. This is the company's car, not shareholders. The credit purchasers from vendors. Vendor gave this loan to the company, not the shareholders. Fund provider provided loan to the company, not the shareholders. Same amount. Total amount is to be paid 200 for loans to the creditors. We sold all because default, we are not able to pay that. All the assets have been sold and amount created in 150. Same thing. Now this is the deficit amount. Means the loans are to be repaid for $200, but you have, after selling all the assets, you have gotten only 150. $50 is still missing. Where do they get it from? They do not. That cannot be taken from the personal assets of A, that is the shareholder. You will say, why? What's wrong? I have given a loan to somebody. Why cannot I get the whole amount? When you were giving the loan, you knew that this is a company and this is the law that the company has a limited liability. So you took the risk, you see. So this is the benefit of, for me, investing into a limited liability company. Remember that the amount that I invested as shares, they may also get lost, but my personal assets are secure. Now, let me tell you why people invest into the companies. For example, I have a certain savings with me, but I want to start a business, but I do not have any know-how of the business. So I invest into the company which is already flourishing. They are very good at their business. They are already flourishing, and I buy their shares. I invest into that. Whatever they get profit, they give me a part of the profit, which is called dividend. Dividend is the part of profit that company pays to its shareholders. So I am sitting home and I'm getting the profits. Obviously, businesses can lose money as well. So I may also lose money in this case, but the only amount of money is limited to the amount that I have invested. My personal assets, personal belongings are safe. This is one important point that you always need to consider. Limited liability. My liability to repay is limited to the amount that I have invested into the company and no more. But if I run as a sole trader or a partnership, my personal assets will also come into play. I hope this has clarified the whole concept of limited and unlimited liability. As a general rule, all the partnerships are general partnerships and they have unlimited liability. But under UK law, there are further two categories, which I'm explaining here. There is a limited liability partnership as well. It is a special category. It is a hybrid between a company and a partnership. It does not have any shares. It has partners like a partnership, but in this liability is limited like a company. So it is a hybrid model between a partnership and a, it has some benefits of the partnership and some benefits of the company form of business. Now, these limited liability companies are of two types, depending upon the shares to who these shares can be given, can be sold. Private limited companies are those who cannot sell shares to general public. Normal people, ordinary people, they cannot buy these shares. These are not listed in stock exchange. These are not available. Listed means available for now. Available in the stock exchange. So who do buy? Who are the people that buy? Close family, friends, or people who you know in your in social circle. They can buy these shares directly from the company. However, for public limited company, these shares are available on stock exchange. These are dealt through stock exchange. So if I want to buy the shares of a company, I can go to the stock market, stock exchange, enlist there and become a member, or there is a process, brokers are there, and I get the shares of that particular company. All right. If there are any questions so far, because in the company formation, in the company area, there are usually some questions of the students. I'll give you a moment to think about that. If you have any questions, please do ask in the chat and I'll be happy to address those issues. Okay. Um, I see there are no questions for now. If there are, you can always post them in the share in the chat section. Okay. So this was all about this topic, that how organizations are formed, what are the different types of businesses that they perform, and what are the different ownership categories that we have. Okay, here's the chapter summary, and there are certain things that you will be able to understand from this as well. What these are the areas that we studied: that social arrangement, collective goals, and controlled activities. What is it? Social arrangement is a group of more than one person, people. It can be formal or informal relationship within the group. This we will discuss later on. Whenever we use word formal, it means there are certain rules and regulations, and informal without any rules. In the next chapter, we will be studying the organization structure will be based on certain rules, and we'll say that it is a formal structure. There are not-for-profit organizations, for example, charities, government cooperatives, political parties, associations, different professional bodies such as ACCA, and then there are business organizations, companies, partnerships, sole traders have not been discussed because these are very simple nature, and joint ventures. This will again be discussing in the next chapter, in which we study SBUs of different companies. There be joint venture at the moment you can simply understand as two businesses working on the same project. That can be termed as a joint venture. Collective goals means a common objective, common target. Objective means the target that the organization wants to achieve. I told you what could this be? Uh, the primary of maximization of owner's wealth. I just told you it can be profit, it can be expansion, it can be another thing which is known as the market share enhancement. I'll come to it in a while. Okay. The not-for-profit organization, their objective is either healthcare, education, entertainment, or public services, or education, anything that then you see in your vicinity. Charities are there; they are working for that. Particularly, for example, there is a charity who's working for provision of education to the people who want to be educated but cannot afford it. And for business organization, the primary objective is the profit. Then there is a maximization of owner's wealth and market share. I'll explain in a while. Controlled activity means that structured operations of the. Me, I told you, controlled activity is the check and balance. How do you perform your activities? How you approach the target? How well you reach the target? How you tackle the challenges while reaching the target? How an organization reaches its or achieves its objectives. For not for profit organization, these are service operation. They are raising funds. They may have some profit generating activities. Now remember this: even if the not for profit organization is doing an activity because of which it gets profit, it does not become a business because the intention is not of a profit. For example, they hold a fun fair. People come, they have different stalls, and it's a very good event. In the evening, people come and they make profit out of that event. It is still a not-for-profit organization. It does making a profit due to one activity does not make it a profit-seeking organization or a business. See, a not-for-profit organization may have commercial activities, but that does not, even if they make profit, it does not make them a profit-seeking organization or a business. What are the targets for a business operation? Services provision, manufacturing, distribution, for example, getting raw material from the main producer and selling it to the lower level business people or other retailers. Marketing and sales, other commercial activities. In next chapter, we'll be discussing about different business function in which this will be covered. Now, let me shed some light on the topic of market share. First of all, you need to understand the word market. What does it mean? In business, market is not a place. It's actually a situation which constitutes of four elements: a buyer, a seller, a product that is to be sold, or a service and a price. Wherever these four elements are present, we say that it is a market. Now, consider our situation right now, this class. According to these four, do you think that we are in a market? Please use the chat option. Okay. Yes. All right. Yes, this is a market. Who's the buyer? We need to fulfill these. Who's the buyer? Who's the seller? What is the product? What is the price? Okay. In this case, in our case, students are the buyers. The academy or the teacher is the seller. Service, this teaching is the service that you are getting, and the price, the fee that you pay, that is the price. Generally, price is something that you give in exchange for to get something, that is the price. In olden days, like I told you in barter system, if you provide somebody with a dozen eggs and you get uh, for example, a piece of cloth from him. So the price of piece of cloth is 12 eggs, and the price of 12 eggs is piece of cloth. So price is actually is something that you pay in return to get something. So this is a market. Now let me describe you what is market share. Suppose there are four companies of a product, for example, laptops. We keep it simple, laptops. In 1 year, A has sold laptops worth 2000. B has sold laptops worth 3000. C has sold laptops worth 1000. And D has sold laptops worth 4000. What is the total? Total sales in the market of laptop is 10,000. Total sale of the market. If I ask you to convert these values into percentages based on 10K, would you be able to do that? What is the percentage of A in these total sales? What is the percentage of A's sale in the total sales? Anyone? This is the formula. Thank you. 20%. Similarly, this will be 30%, this will be 10%, and this will be 40%. In order to make you understand the concept, I have kept these values very simple. So market share is actually the percentage sales of one particular business in the total sales of the market. So we can see that if by comparison, if you want to look, which company has the highest number of highest percentage of sales? D. So we say that D has the highest market share. After that, B has the market share, then A and C has the lowest or least market share. So market share is actually the percentage of sales of one company or one business in the total sales of that product or that market. So let's come to that. The increase in the market share is also sometimes the important target for any business. Now, how do we do that? You see, if there are a lot of competitors and I'm selling the same type of product, what can I do to increase my sales, that more people buy my product? In simple words, if I have the similar type of product, I could lower my price. So people will see that the same price, same type of product is being sold by this one and it is at a lower price, so will come to me and my sales will enhance. So sometimes in order to increase your market share, there is a possibility that you may have to lower your profit, which is another primary objective. You see, there is a link between these two. In order to get the higher market share, in order to increase your sales, sometimes you have to sacrifice another business objective, which was to get the profit. And later on, when you get more of the chunk of the market, later on, you can raise the price and get the profits as well. No problem with that. But the market share increase is also an objective for which sometimes you have to sacrifice your profit objective. Okay. That concludes our today's discussion. This chapter has completed, and I'm sure that you will be aware of the whole scenario of a business environment. And uh, when we progress through our course, there will be lots of different exciting and uh, entertaining, I must say, situations. Because you see, the beauty of this subject is that you are able to identify the real life examples from around yourself. For example, the products that I've said, you will be able to find out in the nearby when you go out in the market. Try to think that see this business. What is this business being run by a one person who's the sole trader? You may discuss with different people that I have studied this topic. So, are you a partnership or are you a sole trader or maybe a company as well? So, this subject is not as dry. This is a very rich subject. You can discuss and you can understand and you can feel and you can observe whatever you learn in this subject. You can observe in the real world in the community nearby. So I hope this was it was a knowledgeable lecture for you, and I hope to see you in the next class as well. I will be uploading some material on the website, which you can access later on. There are some activities that you can perform or the material that I've just taught, and this lecture will also be uploaded. The recorded lecture will uploaded over there. See you next week, and thank you very much for attending.